Welcome to the Peak Potential Pursuit podcast, where we dive deep into the stories of individuals who exemplify grit, grace, growth, and gratitude, or as we like to call it, the G4 journey. Prepare to be inspired as we unravel the journeys to unlocking our peak potential.
All right, welcome to Peak Potential Pursuit podcast. We're excited today about our guest that we have today. So we'll go ahead and introduce him. So we got Isaac Johnson here, who plays for basketball for Utah State University, also known as Big Fish. So we're happy to have you here and come on and talk about it. And
thanks for being here.
Kind of go through and extract how you've gotten to the level you are and how you've helped seek your peak potential and the pursuit of it. So I think first thing is first, a lot of people know you as Big Fish. So tell us a story about that. How did Big Fish come about?
It was just kind of a nickname since junior high.
Okay.
I don't know. The full story is a little blurry, but me and this kid, we call each other Fish as like a filler word for I don't even remember what.
Yeah.
And me and him were really the only ones who knew the meaning at the time. And so he was a lot shorter than me, naturally. Mm-hmm. Everybody was.
Yeah.
And they just called me Big Fish, him Little Fish. And then it just stuck all the way through high school. And then when I got here, one of my other nicknames in high school was IJ, just my initials.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of my friends called me. But we already had an RJ, Idle Rock, on the team.
Oh, yeah.
So Big Fish was the next best. And then it's just turned into a thing here, big time. So.
And is that why you do the old big fish chomp when you come outside the game?
Yeah, Carson Templin and I had to come up with starting lineup handshakes.
Okay.
And so that's what we came up with as the Big Fish. Just rebranded the Gator Chomp.
Nice.
And then, so crowd loved it.
Cool.
Made me happy.
That's awesome. Yeah, do we like it? And then the scream at the end. So, yeah, that's awesome. So I think let's just start about your journey. You grew up in American Fork, right?
Kinda.
Down in that area?
Yeah.
Or what's your story? Where'd you grow up? Yeah. How did your childhood come about?
I was born in Nyssa, Oregon, which is super small farming town just right over Snake River between Oregon and Idaho. It's right there.
Cool.
And then third grade, I moved to Germany for 2 years. My dad was an elementary school principal, and he served his mission in Spain.
Oh, okay.
And so he wanted to give his family the opportunity to experience Europe.
Yeah.
And it's expensive to go just travel Europe, you know?
When you're over there.
Yeah, especially on just like a regular elementary school salary.
Yeah.
So he figured out how to get paid to do it, and he became, through Department of Defense schools, became an elementary school principal on a U.S. Army base.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
We lived in Baumholder, Germany for 2 years, and that was cool experiences. I did 4th and 5th grade there.
Okay.
And then decided it was time to come back to America and lived in Roseburg, Oregon, over on the western side, about an hour and a half from the coast.
Okay.
And big lumber area. Lived there for 2 years, and I did 5th and 6th grade there, and then moved to American Fork for 7th grade until graduation.
So you got most of your high school and stuff like that.
Yeah,
cool.
all of junior high and all of high school there.
So how was that as a young kid, uprooting yourself multiple times? Like, was that hard with, well, I got these friends now, we've been here, and now I got to uproot and find new friends? Like, how was that for you as a child?
I think the military side of it, as our first move, was actually really helpful.
Yeah. Because
those kids are used to moving around a lot.
Yeah.
They're used to making new friends, and so I feel like that was a positive thing that like helped teach us as a family how to just make new friends and adjust easily, because everybody around us, that's what they do for a living. You know? And so it wasn't too bad, I don't think. I don't think it affected me too much. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
But I loved it. It was a great experience to meet amazing people wherever we went and learn things from them and have friends to go visit and still be a part of our lives. And then, I think it taught me how to adjust to new places and new people, which I've had to do kind of a lot ever since, in my entire life. I think I had like 8 different areas on my mission. I had 13 companions.
Wow.
I had 4 different coaches in college, 2 different coaches in high school, and with each new coach comes an entirely new team.
Yeah.
So a lot of change in my life that I think moving helped me acclimate to is kind of normal.
Prepare you for that a little bit going forward. Well, yeah, I didn't know. That's crazy. I know it's hard with some families of doing that with their kids, but sounds like you made the best of it.
Tried to.
So tell us a little bit about kind of your high school ball and how that went. And I know your brother plays at BYU, right? What's the age difference between you two?
Yeah, so he was born in 97 and I was born in 2000.
Okay.
But my parents held me back here because I was going to be the youngest in my grade.
Yeah.
Instead to be the oldest. So
you
he's
missed
4
playing
years.
with him?
So I did 1 year. He was a senior when I was a freshman.
Cool.
So barely got to play with him 1 year.
How was that?
But it was cool. It was a good experience. Kind of.
Yeah.
I almost quit my freshman year.
Oh, really?
Actually. So how kind of it all started with my basketball journey in college was me and my brother got invited to an elite camp in Salt Lake. And there's this guy named Ryan Silver who would put on elite camps all over the West Coast. And he is kind of like a recruiter. He's the head of a big AAU like travel ball program, and kind of like one of those big time recruiters that would see these great athletes and let colleges know about them. And so my brother and I got invited to this camp, and a lot of these camps sometimes are just kind of like, hey, you're invited.
Yeah.
Like your son is good enough to give us money.
Yeah.
So like come to our camp, let him be seen.
Yeah.
Like here's how much it's going to cost
to do that.
And it's probably not going to happen, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough to play well in the younger division, and they moved me up into the high schoolers as an 8th grader.
Okay.
And so I was like, that's pretty cool. Got to go play with my brother.
Yeah.
He was getting ready for his senior year. His junior year, and I was getting ready
to be a freshman.
No. He was getting ready for his senior year, and I was getting ready to be a freshman.
Okay.
And so he was really impressed by me and then said, hey, here's like my actual elite camp. It's in LA. I want you to come.
Yeah.
And I was the only kid from the entire camp that got invited.
Wow.
And so I think it was a bit of a rough spot at first for my brother and I.
Just because you got it, but he didn't. I
got some spotlight early, and he's a dang good player. Like he is a very good basketball player.
Yeah.
And it almost took a little bit for people to realize it. There's a lot of parts of his game that I'll never be able to play to the level of.
Yeah.
And I think it took people longer than it should have to realize it. He played at Weber State off his mission.
Okay.
I think he only had 2 scholarship offers, SUU and Weber State. Maybe UVU.
Yeah.
But then when Coach Pope, no, it was SUU, UVU, and Weber State, and he chose Weber State. And came off his mission and was there for half a season, transferred to UVU with Coach Pope, and Coach Pope took the job at BYU. So then, in his 1 year, he'd been at 2 schools, and his second year went to Salt Lake Community College. And that was the COVID year, so he redshirted his first year, COVID year, and then he had 4 years at BYU after that.
Wow.
And so it took people, I think, a while to recognize how good he was.
Yeah.
He's a dang good basketball player. And I think that kind of caused a bit of a rift at first.
Between you two, yeah.
But then after his mission and after my mission, we've become really good friends.
Cool.
But I got invited to this camp in California, and my dad and I went, and they just throw you on random teams with random players. And it just so happened that my team wasn't necessarily like the most skilled.
Yeah.
It was legit just random names thrown together. And I kind of had to shoulder more of the load. And it, I guess, gave me freedom to just go do whatever. So I dribble the ball, shoot the ball, didn't feel shy because I felt like I needed to step up and help us win.
Yeah.
And because of that, some coaches took notice, and Utah State was my first offer, scholarship offer. Technically 8th grade, 9th grade summer. So it was a really cool experience. I was, I think 6'9", 6'8", 6'9" at that point.
Just a little guy.
Yeah, exactly. Going into my freshman year. And I mean, little guy, weight-wise, for sure.
Really?
Get thrown around a bit.
Yeah.
But, so just, I feel like me being, like, growing that fast, and I never really had an awkward stage.
Yeah.
Of, like,
Tall, lengthy.
tall,
Just
yeah,
like
I was just played
Yeah.
basketball, and I never really had an awkward stage, which I think is a big-time blessing as well.
Yeah.
And so I went to this camp, played really well, and Utah State offered me. And then going into my freshman year, I think that summer I also got an offer from SUU. And then Utah and BYU, I got an offer from BYU that summer as well. And so the U was, I think, the next summer. And then so playing my freshman year in high school, it was kind of rough because we had Brendan Bailey, who's Thurl Bailey's son. Thurl Bailey, like a jazz legend.
Yeah.
And his son, my brother, and then I think there were 6 other seniors. And so I was like, I feel like I can help the team a lot, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm kind of skinny. It's just kind of a finesse type game is what I had to do in order to play. And I just didn't play. They're only allowed to play a certain amount of minutes, quarters in high school basketball.
Okay.
So they wouldn't play me a super ton in JV in case they needed me in varsity.
So, yeah.
But they most of the time didn't need me in varsity.
So you
And
weren't
so
getting
I was
JV,
like,
yeah.
oh, God, what's going on? And so I almost quit basketball, oddly enough. I had 3 full-ride scholarships to pretty solid Division I schools, and I almost quit. My parents, I think they realized the kind of person I am.
Yeah.
And that is when they would try to tell, and this kind of like came into play a few different times in my life. When they try to tell me, you need to do this, I'd almost be defiant towards that and say, no, absolutely not. And so they said, you can do whatever you'd like to do. You don't have to play basketball. But you're going to do something.
Yeah.
If you want to be in the chess club, sure.
Yeah.
I still have no idea how to play chess. But like, if you're going to do something with your life, you're not just going to go to school and come home. Like, you have to do something. And so I was like, well, I already have some college scholarships, so I might as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Going,
So yeah, might as well. You know. And so then that summer rolled around. And it's how AAU or travel basketball does it is they do a 15s year, which is the summer before sophomore year, a 16s year, summer before junior year, and the 17s is summer before senior year.
Okay.
And so for my 15s year, I was on a team sponsored by Dante Exum when he was with the Jazz and Adidas. And so the team was almost all paid for. I think it was like a $500 fee for the entire summer. We went to Dallas, we went to Atlanta, we went to LA twice, we went to South Carolina, and we went to Vegas. And
all
so,
in the summer.
Yeah, all in one summer. So it was crazy. Wow. It started like the last week of school, or the second to last week of school was our first trip. And so it started, like, we started going. And then usually the month of June is off. That's when a lot of the elite camps are as an individual that you get invited to. So it was like all summer. That's how my summers were growing up. It was just basketball, traveling all over the country, playing basketball. And so I kind of developed a bit of a personality, like basketball's who I am early on. Like this is how people recognize me. Mm-hmm. So I was a little like, it took me a while, I think, to grow into my body. Yeah. Even my senior year, if I showed you a picture, like you'd be like, oh wow, that doesn't look like you. Like it took me a while to mature. And after my mission, I kind of actually looked grown up a little bit. But like, I mean, most people obviously don't look that grown up when they graduate high school. But I think I placed a lot of my value in basketball because that's what made me feel seen.
Mm-hmm.
And so going throughout high school, I a lot of times didn't feel included in groups, social settings. I didn't really get invited to hang out with people until like my senior year. And that kind of plays a part into later in my life and my mission when I start to figure life out to help my story till now. But yeah, basketball, like it has given me so many opportunities. So just that summer was really awesome. I got offers from Utah, Kansas State, Wake Forest, and Gonzaga, and a few bigger schools that I was like, wow, this is pretty interesting. This is cool. Yeah. And then go into my sophomore year, play well enough with my high school, but we didn't make it to the tournament. And so it was fun, but it wasn't like rewarding.
Yeah.
And so then my junior summer, same thing, played really well. I picked up a few more offers. USC, Stanford. I don't even remember the full list at this point. And then I got invited to what's called the NBPA basketball camp. So it's the National Basketball Players Association. So it's put on by the NBA, and it's the players' side of the NBA. So how they are able to have it's kind of like their union.
Yeah.
So how they're able to have a voice to teach them like how to acclimate into society when they retire.
Yeah.
How to be like a normal functioning human who doesn't just have $100 million, $25 million at 18 years old. You know, that's like. That's not reality. That's like you guys are 1% of the entire world. Yeah. Like, no, that's of America. You guys are like a 0.1% of the world. So, it's pretty cool. We had NBA coaches or NBA players as our coaches.
That's cool.
And so we got all these conferences put on. You get with the best 100 kids, best 95 kids in America, go to the University of Virginia, stay in the dorms and all this stuff, and then it's like the top 10 or 15 kids that were selected from overseas.
Wow.
So Europe, some from the Middle East. I think there was one from like Israel one year, Deni Advia. He plays for the Wizards.
Okay.
Pretty cool guy. Goga Batadze, I think he just signed with the Pacers or the Magic for a pretty big deal. Like there were some cool guys that I got to be around and experience with, and like Evan Mobley with the Cavs. Tyler Harrow was on my team with the Heat. Emmanuel Quickley, I think he's with the Raptors now. Scotty Barnes, James Wiseman, Anthony Edwards.
Wow.
Like a ton of these dudes that you're just like, oh, nice. This is like a cool guy that you're just kind of hanging out with.
Yeah.
And you see him on TV or on your Instagram feed for signing a
huge deal,
$75 million contract for 3 years. Oh man, gosh, like, we were sneaking out to go to the gas station 3 years ago. So that's pretty cool. Like experiences that basketball has given me. Yeah. And I think as well, I saw these guys. We would talk about some pretty like interesting topics. So first, like the very first day, I think my first two coaches were one of the Zeller brothers and Josh Smith. And so the Zeller brothers, I don't know if all of them played at North Carolina. I know Cody or Tyler, one of the brothers played at North Carolina. And then there was three of them, and they all made it to the NBA. And then Josh Smith played for the Hawks and the Clippers, and he was a really good player. Yeah. And then first things first, we sit down. We're like, all right, everybody, what's your body count? Let's just get this out of the way because it's going to be a topic of conversation. And I'm like, I have no idea what are they talking about? What are they even talking about? Like, I haven't even kissed a girl yet. I'm like, what are they talking about? And so after a few people go, I catch on. I'm like, oh man, this is wild, you know? Yeah. And they get to me, and he's like, you're from Utah. He's like, yeah. Are you a Mormon? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right. You don't even know what we're talking about. No. So it was pretty funny. And then we also had like an old guy who was in there with us who was an old ref. Yeah. And he told us stories about, he'd played actually at Kentucky and in the NBA and then became a ref later in his career. And so they'd tell us like these crazy stories of what life is like in the NBA, and I'm like, holy cow, these dudes, like, I don't even realize like what type of life these guys are living.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. I didn't know that these types of things were real.
Yeah.
You know? And so it taught me a lot, and it gave me a lot of experience and exposure. But it was also a really cool opportunity for me to share some of my faith.
Yeah.
So as they went around the room, these guys were throwing out some kind of crazy numbers.
Yeah.
And my coach was like, tell them, one guy who's a pretty well-known dude in the NBA at this point, threw out like a pretty high double-digit number. And even the coach was like, you're 18.
Yeah.
You're 17 years old. And he's like, yeah. Like, holy cow, dude, like, what on earth? And so he came to me and he's like, Isaac, tell him what the consequences of this are going to be. And I was like, I mean, for one, like, sexually transmitted diseases, that can ruin your life, ruin your career, that can tear things up pretty quick.
Yeah.
For two, like, having a child out of wedlock, you see all these guys that have to pay all this child support.
Yeah.
I think, like, I saw this one time, Blake Griffin is like $25,000 a month. Or something crazy, like, for one kid. I'm like, geez, that's a lot of
money.
That's a lot of money. Like, holy cow. And so it gave me an opportunity to kind of share my beliefs and the consequences of these improper actions that I was taught and thought was just normal.
Yeah.
This is how, like, we're supposed to live. And these people weren't taught that. And so it was really interesting for me to see how my parents raised me in the church and with the belief system, and later that I was able to experiment and see for myself that, this is true, you know, like, this is good stuff, like, this is proper teachings, you know, definitely separated from the world. And so even one of the guys that was on my team was at Ohio State, and my top three ended up being Utah, Oregon, and Ohio State. And so when I went out to Ohio State, and one of the things they do at these visits is obviously you go to parties. You go during fall is usually when the basketball players go on their visits. So you can go to a football game, and there's always after parties after football games, and so they give you a super cool hotel. You eat wherever you want, whatever you want, as much as you want. Like, you just don't worry about a number on a menu. Just if it sounds good. So I wasn't raised that way. It's like we get a water at the restaurant, you know. We're not even getting a drink or an appetizer. You get your meal. And so it was pretty cool to have that experience, but then to also have these guys remember kind of what I stood for. And so we were at Ohio State I got to go to the Ohio State-Nebraska football game. And then later that night, we were going to a after party and then to the bar. And it was really interesting because when the plane touched down in Columbus and we got to campus, I got this feeling, and it was definitely the Spirit just saying, this is not your place to play. And so I was like, this is like the beginning. At least let me see the tour. Like, come on. Ohio State's like the biggest Nike contract in all of college athletics. Like, let me see what's going on at least, but it's not my place to play. So I'm like, all right, might as well just enjoy the money while I'm here, you know, enjoy the food, enjoy the experience, like everything, you know. And so for whatever reason, it's not my place to play. But we went to the game and then went to this party later that night, and one of the guys who was on my team at this camp is on Ohio State. And he saw me kind of just sitting in the corner, and he brought me an apple juice. He's like, I know you're not going to drink.
Cool.
Here's this apple juice. It's like, oh, that's really cool. Like, that kind of meant a lot to me. It was pretty cool that, like, however many years ago, 2 years ago, that I shared this experience, that he still remembered that.
Had an impact.
And it had an impact. He remembered. And so it was really cool. And then I went on my visit to University of Utah and to University of Oregon. And Ohio State, I mean, that just was weeded out like that. And so I think I had a really tough decision ahead of me. And I knew how to listen to the Spirit, but I wasn't always keen on following when it didn't serve my personal interests. And so I haven't talked to super ton about this experience because I'm kind of embarrassed by it. But when I was making my decision, I very clearly was told to go to the University of Utah. And Oregon had so much money, so much bling, and the Nike influence, and like, look at everything we have available.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Utah's Under Armour. It's still in the state of Utah. It's like not really that much of an adventure. They don't have the stuff that Oregon has.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, and so after I'd gone to the temple the first time to pray about it, and University of Utah, I was like, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then I went again. University of Utah. I'm like, yeah, but like,
Come on.
Yeah.
So I did pros and cons list, you know, and I go to the temple for a third time, and it was almost like Joseph Smith, Martin Harris with the plates.
Yeah.
It's like, I've given you your answer, and it literally, I remember the words. It was, you know what you're supposed to do, but you'll be okay either way. I'm like, sick. I'm gonna be fine. Like, I'm gonna be okay at Oregon. Cool, you know. And so I took that, and I just was like,
Ran
I'm
with
gonna be
it.
a Duck.
Yeah.
And I called my coach that night at Oregon, and I said, hey, coach, I'm coming. I'm going to the University of Oregon. He's like, you just made our night. You just made like our month. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
This is like best news ever. I'm like, yes, I did it. And then I call Utah and let them know. And it hurt me more to say no to Utah than it made me feel good to say yes to Oregon. And that's at first when I knew that I kind of made a mistake. I'm like, I can't go back and fix this.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, I could, but then they're both going to be like, screw you. Like,
Yeah.
you're not coming here.
Yeah.
Heck no. You can't just like pull a fast one on
Yeah.
me, both of us.
Yeah.
But the coaches at Oregon were still very supportive of my mission and the decision that I made. And they're like, we actually prefer that you go on a mission. Like, that would be great. Give you time to mature.
Grow
And grow into my body and all this, like, and I was like, well, I mean, I'm going to be okay, right? That's
Yeah.
what the Spirit said.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's do it. So I get ready to be getting ready for my senior year. So I decided that I wanted to make that decision before senior basketball season started. And so I made that decision and get ready for my senior year. And the past 2 years in high school basketball, I kind of talked my sophomore year. We didn't make it to the tournament. Same thing my junior year. And my head coach had been there, I think, for 16 seasons. And they'd made it to the championship once, and I think they lost by like 30. And so it was a really tough decision, but the athletics department let our coach go. They just like parted ways, and I think he's actually since won a state championship at a different school. And so like super happy for him.
Yeah.
I think at Snow Canyon in St. George.
Oh,
Cool.
He's the coach at Harriman now. So super happy for him that he found success. But we had a new coach come in, Ryan Cuff, who was at Dixie in St. George, and he had a son who was a senior. We had our team was Hayden Franson, who his dad, Eric Franson, played here at Utah State. He plays at Cornell. Trey Stewart, who plays at BYU. Tanner Cuff, who plays at Evansville, which is in Indiana. Me, who plays here at Utah State now. And then Noah Moyaki was our starting five, and he's in the football team for BYU.
Okay.
It's like we had just
That's
some
yeah,
like studs,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
We had
yeah.
some we had some really good athletes, really good basketball skill and experience, and so we grinded. Like Coach Cuff came in and he kind of laid the wood down, and he's like, "Listen, I don't care who you are, I don't care what your name is." And he like looked at me. I was like, oh shoot, this guy means business. He's like, I don't care what you've done so far in your basketball career. I don't need you to win. You need me to win. So if you guys want to win, we're gonna meet my standards. And we're like, oh shoot, like holy cow. And he's like, one of my standards, we're gonna be the best in shape team in the state. So we're like, oh crap, we got this new guy coming in, shaking things up. Shoot. So we got ready, we got to work with this season, and we were all like locked in, working super hard. And I think we only lost 3 games We lost to Pleasant Grove twice in region. They won region, and we lost to Kearns once. And Trey Stewart was out with a concussion, and I was out with a bad ankle. So no excuses, but like kind of valid.
Yeah.
So we lost 3 games that year, and American Fork hadn't won a championship in 40 years. So it had been quite a while. I think since '79, and it was 2019. And one of our mottos, I don't know how to memorize this, but we studied the story of this guy that free climbed, free solo El Capitan.
Yeah.
And so we studied his story and how he prepared for this. He did like even one specific stretch for an entire year every night before bed, just so he could get one certain like mount, so that he could swing to the next. And it was just like one specific stretch that he needed for one specific hand hold or foot hold or whatever it was. And how we have to do the little things every single day in order to reach this mountain, because it's been 40 years since our high school has achieved this. And so that's something that virtually nobody has done. I think 3 times in school history. It's like we have a lot to work on, you know? And so we had the pieces. We had the new coaching staff, and they had the discipline to keep us and whip us into shape. And we got to the state tournament, and we played Layton in the first round, who we beat earlier in the year, and took care of them. Second round, we're playing Corner Canyon, and we blow a tire on the way up to Weber State. So it's already a super long bus ride.
Yeah.
Blow a tire. Our coach was like, we got to just get ready, get taped, whatever you're doing on the bus right now. We roll up. We had like 15 minutes to warm up. So off the bus, straight in, like jerseys on, let's go. Like no time in the locker room. Crazy. We're down the whole game until the last 2 minutes, and we won. Then semis, we go, and the championship game is the next day. And so this is all at Weber State. We're down in American Fork, so it's like a 2 hour and a half or whatever it is. And so we have Davis that night. Davis is pretty good that year as well in the semis. And we went to triple overtime.
Oh, wow.
All of the starters except coach's son are fouled out, and we won. And we don't get out until midnight. Like the game is over at midnight. We're the last game that night, and then we're one of the first games the next day. And so then we got to drive back down, and we got off the bus at like 2:00, and then we had team breakfast the next morning, and then took a nap, and then got ready to go. And we played Pleasant Grove, who we were 0-2 against this year. And so we're like, we got to be locked in, ready to go. And just there was a lot that went into play, and we ended up winning. We won by 9. And it was crazy. It was like it was an amazing feeling, you know. Our football team had lost the championship to Lone Peak that year, and we had a few football players on our team.
Just like, we don't want to go to this
exactly.
again.
And so it was like an entire year of just. It was like super cool for our school and for our community to be a part of. And then all of my friends who I graduated with got ready to go on missions, and they were actually a really big part of that, because at first I didn't want to. There were schools telling me, like, if you go on a mission, probably don't want you. Exactly. And so Gonzaga actually was that way. And so I was like, dang, you guys are a religious school. But I think they had a bad experience in the recent history with another return missionary. And so, unfortunate, but I was going to the University of Oregon. I'm going to be a Duck, and they're supporting me. And so I get ready, and my friends were really, really great influences on me to go and serve a mission. And I got called to Columbus, Ohio. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's why I wasn't supposed to go to Ohio State. And so it was really cool. I just like amazing experiences. My mission taught me so much. People ask me, did you enjoy your mission? And I just like, my honest answer is, it taught me so much, and I am so grateful for it. I didn't necessarily enjoy my mission. It was like there was COVID 8 months in. I was indoors for the next 12 months. And it was like, I didn't always enjoy my mission.
Yeah.
Like most of the time I would say it was like rough.
Yeah.
And I kind of was going through it mentally, and it was like, but it taught me so much spiritually and life-wise that I couldn't have had any other.
Learned
Like
that
you
somewhere
can't,
else.
you can't get that anywhere else. I had 2 amazing mission presidents. Almost all of my companions we got along super well, and the ones that we kind of squabbled back and forth taught me a lot.
Yeah.
And so it was really only, I think it was more so probably me, but it was my first 3 companions that I kind of had some troubles with at first, just like learning to adjust to living with somebody, and like, that's my milk, like what do you like, just like learning how to live with somebody and be okay. Sometimes people live their life a certain way. That doesn't mean it's wrong.
Right.
As long as they're, and even if they're not living a certain way, it's not my job to judge them.
Yeah.
Like we have to love them, and the best way to help somebody change is to help them feel like they're loved.
Love and support.
Exactly. And so my mission taught me a lot and got me ready for the University of Oregon, because that was a crazy year that taught me even more on top of it all. And so I came home from my mission. I was home for 3 weeks, and then I went to the University of Oregon to start spring semester. And I kind of felt alone. I was the only kid from my high school there.
Yeah.
Probably the only kid. Well, there was, I think, one other kid from the state. He went to played football at Corner Canyon. He was on the football team. And he actually just got drafted to the NFL.
Oh, cool.
So super cool. Like, dope for him. And right off the bat, I'm like, I got to work. Like, there's a lot of ground that I have to make up, if I want to play. And we did like a body fat. They had this super cool scanning machine where you lay on it. It'll give you like bone density. It'll give you body fat percentage. It gives a ton of information.
That's cool.
And they're like, hey, you are 23% body fat, which for probably a regular person, like, oh, that's not awful.
Yeah.
You got a bit of ground to make up.
Yeah.
They're like, you're obese. And I'm like, man. And so I came back from my mission, 7 foot, 225, and 23% body fat. So like, I got a lot of work to do for this spring and summer. So I started getting to work, saw a lot of change in my body and in my skill. I kind of had to change my shot because there was a side rotation on it, and there was just a lot of things that kind of I felt like my hard work on the court had to make up for, because I lost so much on my mission skill-wise.
Not doing it every day.
Which I forgot to also mention. I met Coach Calhoun, who's the new coach here. I met him on my mission.
No way.
Yeah, so my first area was Youngstown State University, which is where he was. The past 5 years, whatever it was. And my first P day, my first trainer was a guy who hated sports. He thought that they were the biggest waste of time. He's like, if you're not watching a movie that either is spiritual or helping you learn something, why are you watching a movie? Same with TV, same with a book, same with sports, like same with anything. He was like, if you're not working, improving a relationship with somebody, or doing something spiritual, you're wasting your life.
Yeah.
I'm like,
interesting.
I kind of want to enjoy.
My whole life.
I kind of want to enjoy something, And so going back, my entire identity was I am a basketball player, And so on my mission, it switched to basketball as something that I do, not who I am. And that's kind of actually where I built my testimony, because I never read the Book of Mormon before I got on my mission. They always, like in seminary, they're like, did you read it? Because you have to graduate seminary. Like, yes, I did. Of course I did. Why would I not? And because I have to graduate seminary to get my certificate. Because if not, I'm going to be the black sheep of my family. And all this stuff. And so I'm like, my family, we all read the Book of Mormon every morning. Like, wake up 6:30, 6:45, we're reading the Book of Mormon as a family before school. And my parents were really diligent. They did an amazing job.
cool.
in that way. But I was just like always so groggy,
Yeah.
and I'd like memorize because we'd all read 2
Yeah.
verses, and so I'd be like, all right, they're gonna be on 4. All right, so I'm just like gonna close my eyes until it's my turn, and then I'm gonna read my 2. I'll do the calculation, and I'll,
Yeah,
you know,
go back, yeah.
and so that's kind of how I got through it all, and I've never given the gospel a chance, truthfully. And my mission was a wonderful opportunity to do that. That's what I'm there for. And in my first transfer, I was like, if this isn't true, I'm not going to do this. Like, I have basketball at the University of Oregon. I've got like all this cool stuff that I could be doing if the church
Yeah.
isn't true.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I lived in this Utah bubble all my life. That's just,
Yeah.
everybody else did it, so I did it. I knew all the right answers, so it didn't raise any red flags.
Yeah.
Laman, Lemuel,
Yeah.
Sam, and Jacob were Nephi's brothers. They're like, yeah, good job. Like,
Yeah.
I knew all the right answers.
Yeah.
But I never really a few times at EFY, I was like, felt the Spirit, man, this is good stuff. And then a week later, just blew in the wind, And so I went to church because, I didn't want to cause a problem with my parents. I went to the youth camps and I had fun camping. I got my Eagle Scout. I did everything I was supposed to do. And then it came time for me to feel it and understand it. And so I knew the right answers, but I didn't understand the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my first area, Youngstown State, we had all the pass-along cards with the questions on them.
Yeah.
And the yellow one said, what is the purpose of life? And I love that one because people didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they gave us like a foot in the door. And so at the start of my mission, I committed myself, I'm going to read my Book of Mormon. Obviously, we have an hour of personal study. What else are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Clash Royale on my
Yeah.
phone. Like,
Yeah.
I got to at least, probably fill some time. And so as I'm reading my Book of Mormon and praying and doing the things that lead to a recipe for success, for enlightenment, I asked somebody this question, what is the purpose of life? And they said, I don't know. What is it? And I didn't know what to say. For the first time, somebody turned it around on me,
Yeah.
and I had no idea what to say. And so I think I was just like, to have a family. And they're like, yeah, nice, awesome. And they walked away, and I was like,
Yeah.
I have no idea. And so I decided that I was going to find out. What is the purpose of life? Why am I here? What am I doing? On my mission, what am I doing in life?
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of like my first existential crisis.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like spiritual anxiety.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? What are any of us doing? What is going on? And so I went on like this 3-week personal study of what is the purpose of life.
Yeah.
And I eventually came to Romans 8, 16 and 17. I was going through Preach My Gospel, going through the Book of Mormon. On top of my regular study, then I had set aside a time for this study of what is. And so Romans, let's see. There it is. Romans 8, 16 and 17. And it says, the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs, heirs of God, and joint heirs with Christ, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. And that was kind of just like the umbrella verses for my study. That we are the children of God. I was like, man, what is like the purpose of a chicken? Like, man, to lay eggs and get rid of bugs and,
Yeah.
But what is, like, the baby is a chick. And what is the purpose of, let's say, like a dog? To give companionship, but the baby is a puppy. And so us as the children of God, what is God's purpose? God's purpose is to glorify his creations, give them the best chance for success, to help teach them and have them follow in his footsteps. Right? And that's the best way that we can glorify God, is by following in his footsteps. And those verses kind of just like hit me like a freight train. My purpose is to become like my Father. And my dad here on earth, he's a great guy. Like, he's taught me so many lessons, and we used to butt heads so much, you know. He tried to coach me, and I did not want to be coached by my dad. And this kind of opened my eyes to like, man, how good of a guy my earthly dad is. But how much better of a father, a perfect father that our Heavenly Father is. And that's like, we're his kids. That's where we want to be like our dad. And then that comes into play, the atonement, and how it's impossible to reach that level without Jesus Christ. And so once I realized what my purpose here on earth is, it just opened the door to the gospel. Like, it just got kicked wide open. Like, the spiritual SWAT team came in and went to work. And so the rest of our mission was a fantastic spiritual learning experience that I then got to share. Like, hey, look at what I found out. Like, this is cool.
That's awesome.
And it kind of like, as I go into Oregon, I've got all this work ahead of me. And so I'm working as hard as I can to be the best basketball player I can be. But I don't see eye to eye with these coaches and these players. Like, basketball is who they are. If you take it away,
They're nothing.
they're lost, literally lost. And so I'm in this like kind of personal struggle of how to balance these things and how to. And so I felt like in order to compete with these guys and to have the chance to play, which is, that's why I'm here. Like, that's why they're paying me, right? And I felt almost like a number. Like, if I'm not meeting this standard, I'm not worth the amount of money they're putting for me to be here. And so, coming from this amazing spiritual experience where it's 24 hours a day, this is what you do. It's like sometimes the best thing somebody could ever do, and like sometimes the best time of your entire life is to just be completely focused on God. Into basketball's who you are. You are this. You have to be this. Or you don't have value to me. And by the way, I'm the one that controls everything in your life. And you're like, geez, this is rough. So it was kind of a struggle. My coaches are really good guys. They did support me on my mission. They came and visited, took me out to Texas Roadhouse one time. Super good guys. Cool. And as people, I really enjoy them. I'm going to invite them to my wedding. Like, they're good dudes. But as coaches, they're professionals. And it took me a while to realize like their work-life balance. And I think that also helped me understand Coach Sprinkle this last year, because he was kind of that same way. Of like, listen, basketball is who I am. Like the most important thing ever. And that's, I don't know, like that's what it felt like. And so when we're there, like we had to be there. Like, if your feet are here, your head, if you're here, you're here. And so that helped me for this year. But then I couldn't do it. The social life, wild. Or like legally, all substances are legal up to a certain point. And I mean, I saw a lot of it. You know, every weekend offered alcohol, which I'd never had before. Every day, my roommates were smoking marijuana because it's legal. So every day, like one of my teammates moved there and he lost his card. And so I wasn't going to buy him weed. But he couldn't eat. He'd smoked every day from when he was 13 years old. He was 22. Every day for 9 years. And he couldn't eat unless he was high. Because that's like the munchies, right? But like it got to a point where unless he had some sort of stimulant in his system, he couldn't eat. And so like these are the type of dudes that I was living with, that's their normal life again, right? This is like, that's just how we get through life. And so I'm trying to keep this standard. And granted, the ward was, there were good people there.
Yeah.
But it was just not super, I would say, I guess I didn't put as much invested as I could have, on top of the fact that my basketball schedule drew some away.
Yeah.
So it's like I was so tired of basketball that, like, for the last 30 minutes of an activity that I could have gone to, I was like, I'm going to go home, sit in my room, and so I tried my best to be with people that made me feel better. But when God's standard is here, the people who I'm around every day standard is here, this standard's like, okay, this isn't a bad standard, honestly, compared to this, but I wasn't comparing it to here. And so the people I'm hanging out with, standard is here. And so it got easy to slip in some of those habits that I'd formed in my mission, with scripture study and prayer and going to second hour. But I'm like, I've got practice in 2 hours. So I want to give myself a good amount of time to get something to eat before practice instead of going to Sunday school sometimes, And so it kind of slipped, and my mental health really took a dip. And I had depression, which took me a while to realize.
Yeah.
And I started meeting with a counselor, but it was your typical, what people would, I guess, categorize as organ. Like, I validate your feelings type of counselor. And so I was like, man, give me something to work on. Like, let me feel good.
Yeah.
Not just say that my feelings are valid.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be okay. I don't want to say that where I'm at, where you're at is perfectly fine. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, this is the standard.
Yeah.
I'm not meeting the standard right now. I'm not okay. And so I realized, and basketball was rough too. I was told, hey, we're going to need you. We're going to use you a lot this season. And then it wasn't met.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know what's going on. I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
And so about Christmas break, I got to go home, and I just was talking to my parents. I'm like, I'm going to transfer. But I committed to this year, so I'm going to be there. And I finished out the year, rough year. We had 20 wins.
Yeah.
But it almost was counted as a failure of a year for our team. Our team, was rough. It was not an easy team to get along with, everybody-wise.
Yeah.
And even, when I called my coaches, I said, hey, coach, I'm going to transfer. He's like, I don't blame you.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He said that. Yeah.
Was it like a camaraderie thing? Like you just weren't clicking together? Like
there was just different personalities. There was some definite selfishness on the court.
Yeah.
Which led to, because that's everybody, because that's their personality, that's who they are.
Yeah.
When basketball is not clicking, there's
Nothing
issues. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I called my coach. I'm like, hey, coach, I'm going to transfer. And it was 2 days after the season ended. So we come to Utah State and play. We won. We go to Texas A&M and we lose by 15. And we're done. Get home. Sunday's the next day. I go to the arena. I grab all my shoes. I empty my locker. I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm done. Screw this. And so, I'm like, nobody's going to be in the arena today. It's 2 days after the season. I'm just going to go clear out my stuff. Exactly. Sneak in, sneak out, and be done. Call him the next day. He's like, I don't blame you. If you whatever you need in this search for the next spot, I'll help you out.
Yeah.
So it's really awesome.
Yeah.
Of them. And I just kind of decided I need to be back in Utah. Can I be successful anywhere? Yes. But I just feel like I would rather be around, because let's say I have more frustrating years ahead of me in basketball.
Yeah.
I want to be in a place where I enjoy and I'm uplifted in my social life off the court. Then I don't have to feel like I need to go search other means and be alone my spirituality, which honestly that's not the worst thing, but it's hard. That's really hard, you know, to just be completely alone almost.
Yeah.
And that was key because you found that on your mission, right? Like, basketball is something I do, not who I am, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of these other kids, that's who they are, and if they feel like they're not succeeding at that, they're nothing in life or whatever, right?
And then substances fill the gap.
Yeah.
And the weekends, like everybody, I feel like almost every single person that I met at Oregon was just waiting for the weekend. Like, I saw a lot. I saw cocaine, marijuana. I saw some pretty like crazy drugs, shrooms, LSD. I was offered like legit. I was like, holy cow, this is insane.
Wow.
And it was a lot that I never thought that I would have to experience.
Right.
But I then decided I need to be in Utah. There's a lot of people there that will understand me, and I can succeed elsewhere. But why would I? Like, why am I going to play on all Madden when I could just go play rookie and be, you know, throw balls and be happy, you know?
Great schools in Utah too, right? That you already had offers from all of them, right?
Experience, so new coaching staffs, all of them. But it was between basically BYU and Utah State because Utah had new coach. I mean, Smith is a great guy. But I was like, I don't want to be in the Pac-12 anymore. I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Completely new because it was Kristoviak when I was in high school, and then it was Smith. But I just BYU and Utah. My brother's at BYU. I could have this super cool experience to go play with my brother again. Coach Pope is a really good salesman during his recruiting process and knows how to make it sound like fantastic, amazing. And so I was kind of wary of that a little bit because I just wanted somebody to be real, 100% real with me.
Yeah.
Like, don't make it feel like a production at all times.
Yeah.
And so Coach Odom, I felt like did the best job of that, and the players here. And so I knew Landon Brenchley, I knew Mason Falsleb, I knew Rylan Jones.
Yeah.
And I was like, Utah State. I mean, my dad played here.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good spot.
Yeah.
A lot of my cousins go to school here or went to school here. Like, Logan will be a good spot. I came and visited. I just enjoyed it. And, Provo's fun. Don't get me wrong, but it's like there's always something going on in Provo.
Yeah.
And I sometimes just enjoy my peace and quiet.
Yeah.
And chill. Exactly. I actually I don't have any roommates. I live by myself for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Because I'll go out and do whatever.
Then you can always come back.
And then I have my spot. Like that nobody invades unless I give them permission.
Yeah.
And so, I chose to come to Utah State. I really liked Odom and his staff, and working hard that summer, same type of deal. Like, I've got a lot of ground to make up, right? And so, I didn't realize like how bad my mental health was until I'd gotten COVID for like the third time. I got, I think, twice at Oregon and then once in the summer, and I'm coming back and I'm still kind of feeling sick, but it's like, it's college basketball. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
If you're good enough, you're good.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, all right, came and it was just moving slow, trying my best. And coach was like, listen, if you're not going to be good enough, get out of here. And it was basically for the day, obviously, until I'm feeling better tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had a mental break. And I went in the hall and I sat down, like, outside away from everybody, and I just sobbed. Sobbing in the hallway. And our trainer came to talk to me, like, what's going on? Like, are you okay? And I just was like, I'm not worth the money that you guys pay to have me here.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really love basketball. I don't even know if I like basketball anymore. Like, this is so hard. It's not how I remember it, anyway. It's not fun. It's not like, this is like, I'm not worth the amount of money that you guys are paying me or paying for me to be here. And she said, we love you no matter what. You as a basketball player, we're not concerned with you as a basketball player until we're concerned about you as a person, which is what I didn't have at Oregon. I kind of needed somebody to say that to me.
Yeah. Exactly.
I needed to hear that, and I just like, I didn't even think about that. that was an option.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was A or B. There's true or false. There was no like
Yeah.
option C maybe. You know, like,
Yeah.
I didn't know that was an option for college basketball, and so I kind of started, and then I started meeting with the counselor on campus, and I got on antidepressants, and it was just enough to give me like a little bit of a boost in the morning. That when I woke up, that I could feel like I want to do something today.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like, and I talked to my parents about it,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Hey, it's completely okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to not be okay,
Yeah.
and to want to be okay."
Right.
So it taught me a lot, and it kind of made me come out of my shell and made me humanize myself.
Yeah.
You know, and I was meeting with this counselor. They gave me every week, and he would give me stuff to do, like, who's somebody you look up to? Like, oh, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
He's really successful in college, and he's a good basketball player, and he's a really good guy. Like, I like my brother. He's
Yeah.
a good guy, you know? Took me a while to figure it out, but I mean, he's a really good dude. And his wife, they're really good people.
Yeah.
And like, all right, what did they think of you? What do you think they think of you?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't know, I could call them out. No, that's not. What do
Yeah,
you think
yeah.
they think of you? I'm like, man, so like stuff like that would take me outside of my mindset of life and myself and whatever's going on in my like confined
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
mentality, and put me into a different third person point of view to be able to look at myself. And it was really cool. Taught me a lot. I learned a lot and just got healthier.
Yeah.
I started enjoying basketball because Coach Odom called me in, which we had like the whole summer of working, and I'm like, I'm going to play. Like I didn't
Yeah.
transfer to Utah State to not play.
Yeah.
I'm going to play. And BYU told me that I was going to play there. So if I'm here, I'm going to play here.
Yeah.
Like, and Odom calls me and he's like, hey, you're going to redshirt. Like, what are you talking about? I'm going to redshirt.
Yeah.
Like, what on earth? And it was the best thing that I could have done for my college career.
Yeah.
Because it gave me that opportunity to have no pressure while I got healthy mentally.
Yeah.
And I could just enjoy college. And Mason Falsa, he also decided to redshirt that year.
Mm-hmm.
Landon Brunchley, he was a walk-on at the time. And so, like, there was really no pressure for us three. And then Rylan Jones, he got hurt.
Yeah.
And that was, like, a really big bummer. But then it was, like, all four of my buddies, it was my three buddies and me, we were just kind of chilling, like, the rest of the year. We'd show up to practice, and then enjoy watching Stephen Ashford, Taylor Funk, Dan Akin. Like, we enjoy Max. Like, we watched these guys have a blast.
Yeah.
And we just loved it.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience for me. Taught me a lot. And I was able to get healthy and be happy on my own, and know that I got the resources if I need them.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I don't feel like I really need them.
Yeah.
Like I
Got to a
can,
point that you're good yourself.
yeah,
through-
I can wake up and make myself some eggs and go about my day and be happy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the sun is shining even though there's a foot and a half of snow outside.
Yeah.
You know, everything's cool. And so it was awesome. I'm really grateful for that year, which seems almost counterproductive to just like, no, you're going to not even have the opportunity to play this year.
Yeah.
On earth, but it was probably the best thing I did for my college career.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then new coach, Odom leaves, and like, shoot, that's who I chose.
Yeah.
But I don't have any option to leave. Like I didn't have any stats at Oregon, and when I did, they were like not the greatest.
And now you.
And now I redshirted,
Yeah. So you don't have any there.
and so I don't have any at Utah State, and so I'm like, whoever comes in, I just got to commit, and I got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Sprinkle came in, and it was like my high school coach on steroids.
Yeah.
Like my high school coach, like, we're gonna be da-da-da-da-da. Like Sprinkle was like, you are going to be tough,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and you're gonna earn that word.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you understand that word yet, but you will. And we're like, oh,
Oh,
shoot,
boy.
like, man, what is he talking about? And then like, he was. I mean, it wasn't ever really easy.
Mm-hmm.
But it was worth it. We had a really successful season,
Yeah.
and it's hard to beat that year before with Odom.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah,
had 9 losses,
Yeah.
I think, that year, and last year we only had 8.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard to beat.
Right.
With
9
a
losses.
whole new team,
But with
yeah.
a whole new team, a new coach, a new, like, everything.
Everything. Yeah.
That's incredible. Like, our year last year was incredible.
It was awesome.
Like, that's hard to beat that, you know? And so it was really just kind of a year that I had to learn to bear down and take my training of mental health and happiness and spiritual growth and just like commit to being happy on the court, off the court, in whatever situation I'm in, how to learn and grow, take those tools that I've used. I also had a girlfriend who had been left on a mission. And so I'm like going through this sprinkle year, just like, I gotta be all in. Like, there's nothing else to really worry about right now besides school, church, and basketball.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my friends, I lived with Landon, Brenchley, Mason, Falstaff, and then some other friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we already had that. That's solidified. I don't have to worry about making new friends. If I do, great, you know. And then our team, we actually got along really well.
Yeah.
There was rarely, if ever, there was a squabble.
Mm.
And it was great. Like, that's really rare, too, that I learned from my Oregon team. That here at Utah State, like, my first year, rarely, if ever, did anybody disagree. Second year, rarely, if ever. Off the court. Like, on the court, obviously, sometimes you got to, you're not going to be tough if you don't tackle somebody every day. Or, you know, and so, but going into this year, I've got a really positive mindset. This coaching staff is really, really good people. Off the court and on the court, they are super. They've got obviously new strategies and new ways of doing things that we're not all used to, and it's a new team.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gaining a lot. I think we've been working for like 3 weeks a month, and we've learned a lot. We're hustling, we're working hard. We've got a lot of dudes who are committed to being really good, and who are really good people off the court. We're enjoying each other and this process. Love the coaches.
That's awesome.
So sorry I talked a lot, but that's my story.
No,
that's a great story. And you know what's cool about it is Ty and I spent a little bit preparing some questions and talking about, hey, what direction do we want this podcast to go? You know, Ty mentioned beforehand that this is kind of a journal for our families, and one of the things we want out of this podcast is to bless other people's lives. And so I'll say this first. One of the things I do before every podcast is say a prayer. Heavenly Father, please, you know, guide our questions, guide our conversation, that this can touch somebody's life, whoever it is. And you literally just went through just about every question that we had prepared, minus a few superficial ones, which we'll talk about, that are just kind of fun in the life of a college athlete. But thank you for sharing your story and honestly for following the Spirit, whether you knew you were or not, because you literally answered a lot of the questions we had prepared to ask.
Thank you.
And thank you for being vulnerable too. It's a super cool story, and I think a lot of people can gain a lot from it. So maybe one thing on the superficial level side of things is tell us about the day in the life of an athlete, and maybe talk about what that looks like in season, during the season, with school, social life, church, everything, practice, traveling, all the things, and then maybe hit like postseason. What does life look like? And then, you know, the summer, and just kind of touch on that.
Yeah, we only see you dominating on the court, you know, a couple times a week. So I think it's good for everybody to understand the backstory and all the work you guys put in.
So like a regular day, a regular kind of week setup during the season. So our games are usually Tuesday, Saturday. And so if we have an off day, it's a Wednesday, where it's just like film, off day. You still go in and watch film, and you know. But we usually would practice like in the afternoons. So if you've got in-person classes, you're going to go in the morning, and then so wake up before, get breakfast, make sure you've got good fuel before class. Sit in the first 3 rows in class so that you can be attentive, and you know the professors know you, and when we're on the road, that they'll be gracious to help us out. And because our kind of attitude and mindset is that we don't seek extra favor just because we're on the basketball team. Like if there's a student that earns extra favor because of what they do in the classroom, then that should be us, right? Because we've got this stuff going on, so we need to be working extra hard to make sure that we can cover, on the back end.
Yeah.
And so sit in the front 3 rows, be a good presence around campus and in class, whatever, and then make sure you get another meal. And then we would do weights usually after practice. And so we'd have practice, which during the season are a little more chill, depending. Usually our Thursday practices would be a little more intense because we just had the game, but then we had a day off. And so that's our day before the preparation day, before game day. So Thursdays were usually like more intense days where we're going to kind of get after each other and bump a little bit, And then if there's, let's say it's in the new year, so it's in conference. So we're going to always have film. We only have, I think, 2 bye weeks, 1 bye week, something like that.
Yeah.
And you're going to watch film on your next opponent, get ready, run through their sets, run through our sets, run through their defense, our defense, everything we're going to, game plan. And then weights, and then make sure you get another meal, and then homework, social life, whatever you're going to do for the 3 or 4 hours before you should probably be winding down for bed.
Yeah.
And for me, I usually have another meal because I need to keep my energy.
Yeah.
Like, the mornings for me are rough to get going if I don't eat. And so so I'm pretty busy during the season. Sundays, we usually would have time to go to sacrament meeting, and then we'd have to go to practice. So it wasn't an excuse this time. Like it actually was.
It was mandatory.
So we actually did. And so it was kind of, when we had that bye week, we went to Sunday school, and it was pretty cool. I was like, man, this is awesome. Yeah. And so, that's usually how it is. It's film, practice, weights, class, eating, and then hanging out with whoever for a couple hours, 3 hours.
Yeah.
And homework, and so pretty fun, pretty
regimented.
filled. And I've noticed this. I really enjoy having a schedule.
I'm the same way.
When it's like freedom, I'm like, man, this is cool. I'm gonna sleep until 10, and then I'm like, man, what did I do with my day? And I'll worry for an hour what I wasted my day sleeping, and then I'm like, I don't know what to do. And so it's fun every now and then to have a week, 2 weeks off where you can just chill out.
Unwind a little bit,
Exactly, but I enjoy having a schedule. I've learned that. And off season, May is usually an untouchable month. So the coaches don't have any practices. We just go home, go do whatever, go do literally whatever.
Yeah.
Hunting, golfing, camping, go on a road trip somewhere, go see grandma and grandpa, families, nieces and nephews, do whatever, That's right after the season ends. And then summer, right now I'm doing an internship. I'm studying healthcare administration, hospital administration.
Nice.
So that's kind of the nice thing too. I had no idea what to do with my life for the past 3 years of college. And now going into my 4th year, I've kind of figured it out. So I'm happy about that. So doing an internship at Logan Regional in the business department. And so for me, what it looks like is usually we'll have practice about 10:30, 11. And if we don't, then it's weights instead at usually 9, and then practice at 2.
Alexa off. My bad, gotta take garbage out. It's my reminder.
Fantastic, that's smart. So I usually have weights at 9, practice 2. And so I'll do my internship in between that. So wake up, get breakfast or a protein shake or something, weights, which me and the weight room are having we're learning to love each other. So I've gained some good weight. So I'm sitting at 240 now. So I'm 7 foot 240, which is good.
Yeah.
And then go on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Wednesday's usually our off day. And so Tuesdays in between that, I'll go for a couple hours of my internship, then get ready for practice. We're getting ready for a foreign trip. We're going to be going to Croatia and Italy on the 9th of August.
Because last year, where'd you guys go? And you won the
Yeah, we went
tournament.
to the Cayman Islands,
Cayman Islands, that's
during
right.
like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's right.
That
That
was
was
cool.
later,
So
yeah.
this one we're doing like end of the summer. We're going to
Oh,
Croatia
really?
and Italy.
That's
Cool.
cool.
So August
That'd
9th to the 19th. So we're gonna start getting like more hours worth of practice because we're going on a trip.
Yeah.
Right.
And so then we'll go have practice, and then it's just, I mean, most of us have to take summer classes. So I'm taking a summer
Yeah.
class as well. And so do homework and stuff if you feel like it. You know? And then if it's the day it's due, then it's like crunch time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so nothing. It's pretty chill. Usually in the summers, it's the time where you can really just like enjoy having a good
Yeah.
relationship with
Yeah.
basketball.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
really pressure. You just
Yeah.
go in, have fun. You learn a lot. You grow. Do some activities with the team. Maybe later. Like last week we went bowling,
Cool.
and then we went to kabuki.
Nice.
And like it was a super fun team
Yeah.
activity. And,
Cool.
So
That's fun.
summers are fun.
Yeah.
That's cool. Another question. So Ty and I are coaching our boys in a comp baseball team
Awesome.
this year, and they're 10, so
Yeah.
they're pretty young. We just barely put the team together, had tryouts, we're getting things going, trying to get organized, have the boys have a good experience. So you being a Division I collegiate athlete, having experienced 4 different coaches now in college, you know, what advice would you give to us as coaches for young boys and how to help them learn to love the game, have determination? If their goal is to become a collegiate athlete, you know, what have you taken away from your coaches
Mm-hmm.
that we could implement with our 10-year-old boys?
Have a standard and allow them to help each other meet that standard. But don't be afraid to step in when that standard's not met. So whatever you think needs to be set at, have them understand that that's what the standard is, and there won't be any wavering from that standard. Especially, I feel like, especially boys.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like they need to be reminded more often than they probably would like.
Yeah.
But it's all for the better, you know.
Yeah.
This is, so yeah,
Cool.
that would be my advice.
That's good advice. One other question we're going to ask you is, talk to us about your experience in the NCAA tournament last year.
Yeah.
Just kind of being on the national stage, you know, playing against TCU, getting the win there, and then going against Purdue,
Yeah.
you know, the number 1 ranked guy in the nation,
Yeah.
and just what was that experience like?
We'll keep it short with Purdue because that's that's how it was. It was short.
Yeah.
It was short-lived with Purdue. But going to the tournament was super cool. I got to experience that. I mean, I went to the NIT with Oregon.
Yeah.
It was cool to play in the postseason, but it really didn't have much value
Yeah.
with March Madness going on. Then I got to go with Utah State and watch those guys. And we got to go to Sacramento and play in the Kings Arena, and it was like super cool.
Yeah.
The show around it all, the hype,
Yeah.
like everything that's going on. It's pretty awesome. And sadly, they lost to Mizzou.
Yeah.
I was part of that
Part of the
team.
team.
But then the selection show and everything, we get TCU and my brother in the Big Ten. So
Yeah.
I'm like, Spencer, you've played them. What are they?
Yeah.
He's like, dude,
Good team.
they're
Yeah. Good
athletic
team. Yeah.
and they've got some good players. You're gonna have to just play solid and not let them just out athletic you. You're gonna have to stop.
Mhm.
Use your
Yeah.
physicality to stop
Their
their
athleticism.
natural flow of just
Yeah.
being able to go. Because if they can just go, you're gonna be screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they kind of were at first able to.
Yeah.
We had to fight back.
Out the gate. Yeah.
Yeah, out the gate they were
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
going, and we had to fight back. And it took us about, I don't even know, more than half of that first half.
Yeah.
And then we finally tied it and took the lead. But it was super cool. Like personally, my experience of it, that was the best game that I had had in my entire college career. Had 19 points, I think 4 blocks.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm not even sure how many rebounds I didn't even or assists. I was just I just had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I told you I messaged you
Yeah.
after I was hearing my kids. They will attest to it. I'm here watching. And I don't know who on the people on the podcast know. So I reserved as a cop at Utah State. So that's how I met
Yeah.
Isaac. Both have last name Johnson. So we just kind of started talking and seeing
We We had to do
How
a family,
related? Yeah.
family history thing after
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
We're gonna see.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. We'll have to see. So there's a couple times before the game I'd just be like, "Big Fish, dunk on somebody for me." And this one game he was gonna, and he's like, "Where you at? I'll point at you." I'm like, "I'm gonna be over here." But then they moved me, and I remember he dunked on somebody, and I was just like, "Yes, I saw him kind of looking," and I wasn't there. And then after he's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "Oh, they moved me." But I was literally when you were blocking and just dominating TCU, I was so happy for you. I was screaming. Like, it was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Great game, especially one where you fell down, like slid at the camera. I was just like, ah! That was my favorite. So
It was fun. That actually, it's a GIF, so it's like a GIF.
Oh, is
I don't
it?
even know, but
Yeah.
it's like an Instagram keyboard.
What is
If
it?
you look up Big Fish,
Oh, is
or
it?
if you look up Isaac Johnson, it's there.
Nice.
So,
Awesome.
It's
You
pretty
made
fun.
it, man.
Yeah.
You made it.
So I've got a milkshake, Big
Ooh,
Fish,
nice. Yeah.
an Arctic Circle down
Arctic Circle,
South
yeah.
Logan,
Okay.
Swedish Fish flavored, solid. So like the Big Fish name has been marketable
going.
almost exclusively because of that game.
Really?
Like it's been like
cool.
super cool. It was
That's
like
cool.
the perfect time to have a breakout game,
Yeah.
and I think that'll lead me into this upcoming season.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
I'm really excited about this team, obviously, but I think personally, I'm set to be able to show what I can do
Yeah.
at a versatile level. I'm going to try to be in the post more this
Yeah,
season because
cool.
I don't think I had a single post point. I maybe had like 6, but like
Dropping the three ball.
exactly, it
Yeah.
was like all mid range or cutting layups or
Yeah.
rebounds or something. But I'm gonna try to be more versatile. I think I set myself up really well
Cool.
to be able to have confidence to make that into other
Yeah.
games.
Awesome.
And yeah, it was just like a super cool experience. Got to go backstage and be a part of the media.
Yeah.
That you always see like the backstage of March Madness,
Yeah.
and I got to that was super cool. And I had that experience. I
Yeah.
didn't necessarily play to that level the entire year. There was a
Yeah.
few games where I think I had a double twice.
Yeah.
And I played well in some games, but that was the game of my entire college
Yeah.
career so far.
That's cool.
And so it was really cool that I got to see like all the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Me with
That's really cool.
some of the guys like your voice is on 2K.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
you,
that's
like,
weird.
it's
Yeah.
you. Like holy cow, it was really cool.
That's cool.
And then Purdue, it was just cool. Round of 32. They're, the second best team in the country,
Right.
Yeah.
best team for most of the season, and like it was super cool to have that experience, play against them, and be on TV and have all the support.
Yeah.
I would say Utah State, our fan base is one of the best in the country, which is crazy because our arena's not that big.
Yeah.
Our funding isn't to
Not
the
even
level
close.
of
Yeah.
some of those like
Right.
ridiculous schools, but like the amount of support that our community has, that our school, that our staffs, the athletic, like everybody, it's ridiculous, and it's like unbeatable. It's
Cool.
fantastic.
That's one of the things I wanted to ask was, you played at Oregon, right? We're from around here. We've grown up Utah State fans.
Yep.
We've grown up going to the basketball games, feeling just the environment you get up there in the Spectrum. But I want to hear it from somebody, like, is it really one of like the loudest places that
Yeah.
you've played compared to other ones?
Mhm. We were ranked second loudest game of the year, and the loudest was North Carolina at Duke.
Oh,
So
which
like
is
with New
the
Mexico,
biggest, one of the biggest college rivals.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's like literally one of the biggest college
Yeah.
rivalries in history.
Yeah.
And so when it was New Mexico came to us when we won the
Yes.
Mountain West Championship.
Yes.
And so like it's real.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think we sold out every game at home. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. That's cool.
Oregon didn't compete.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Huh.
I think there was one game at Oregon that maybe held a candle to it, and it was when we were at Arizona. And it was like their father's weekend. And so it was just
Yeah.
like a ton of dudes just there, just going crazy at the game. And Arizona was way good that year. I think they were top 5.
Cool.
And it was super fun. But
Yeah.
I would say almost everywhere we've been doesn't compete. Like
Yeah.
Utah State is literally one of the best venues in the
Yeah.
entire country. It's ridiculous. And Mountain West actually has a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New Mexico's
New
crazy.
Mexico's, yeah,
San
crazy.
Diego State, really
Yeah.
fun. Boise, they fill out a
Yeah.
lot. Colorado State's is crazy. They do like the Mountain West is fun,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I mean,
Yeah.
the spectrum's
And
different.
this year,
Spectrum's
like,
different. Yeah.
the Mountain West had a lot of solid teams.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, to have 5, was it 5
yeah.
go to
And
the
then San
tournament?
Diego the year
think
before.
so.
Yeah,
go
San Diego.
so far.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was crazy.
That's cool.
So, well, we're cheering for you. We'll be there. So it's a lot of fun. So it gives us, when you talk about all that snow outside, it gives us somewhere to go get our energy out of the spectrum. Maybe that's half
That's
the
for
thing,
sure.
But
Awesome.
yeah. So
Cool. Thanks, Isaac. Thanks for sharing your peak potential pursuit story with us and
yeah.
helping us gain some insight to who you are and your fun story. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you show a lot of the grit it's taken for you to get here, right? One of our 4 G's that we have in our journey, and then just the gratitude and finding yourself and, helping us know that it's okay if we need to take a knee sometimes and get ourselves so we can be the right person in the right space so we can reach our peak potential. So one of the things, everybody that comes on, we want to give you one of our hats to take and rock
Thank
it,
you.
do whatever you want.
Thank you.
Just something that we try, that we wear, helps us remember in all that we can do, trying to find our peak potential.
I
So
love it. Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah, thanks
thank
for
you.
coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to the Peak Potential Pursuit podcast, where we have been inspired by another G4 journey. Join us next time as we continue to explore stories that unlock our peak potential. If you or someone you know would like to share your G4 journey, we would love to learn and grow from these experiences. Please contact us through Instagram at peak_potential_pursuit or email us at the3pg4@gmail.com.